Okay, we'll go ahead and get started here with, this is Mr. Rob O'Leary, Superintendent of Schools, and Mr. Eric Beavers, the Treasurer for our school district. And something about getting too close over there. They're going to talk to you, just provide you information, and hopefully you'll have some questions for them as well concerning issue number 35, which of course is the levy that we discussed just a little while ago. So, gentlemen, the floor is yours.
We're going to start with the numbers tonight from Eric, and then I will kind of talk a little bit about the program side of things.
Thank you very much. Thank you, CLC and the Chamber of Commerce and everyone else that's involved tonight. This is a great forum, and we're happy to be here this evening. I have the pleasure of serving as your treasurer and CFO of this phenomenal school district, and I say that with the most sincerity and from the bottom of my heart. I love what I do each and every day, and I am so glad that we have some of our aviators in the audience this evening because they do help me keep my vision and my focus at all times. So how about those board member candidates? Those are going to be my bosses, so I feel very blessed, and I am very excited about this. And I've been sharing with a number of people, and I'm going to share with you this evening. In my 19 years as a school treasurer, 23 in the school business, this is the best incoming board that I have had the pleasure of welcoming in, and I'll be swearing in coming in January. So please do your part and give them your affirmation in the ballot box, please. So let's start with the numbers. Yes, we are on for a renewal of 6.99 mills, the current millage rate that will generate just under $4 million annually. We need this money to continue coming in. It technically expires next December 31st of 2018. Vandalia has a long tradition of going one levy cycle early, which I really appreciate. It's a great way of bringing continuity and stability to your school district. We all know that schools are the number one priority when people are choosing a home, and they've chosen very well here in Vandalia. We have a phenomenal staff. We have a phenomenal administration, one of the best in the state that I've worked with in my 7 school districts, and I am proud to be flying as one of your head aviators. Some things that we have accomplished are we heard you loud and clear at the end of 2013 when you first approved this levy. I think we've helped to achieve many of those, not quite everything, but we have listened and we have responded, and we've responded, I think, very well. I think we bring fiscal stability and we bring a great sense of pride. Our kids are doing exactly what they should be doing, if not more. Our graduates just achieved $6.5 million in scholarships for less than 300 graduating students. That is phenomenal for the amount that's done, and that is to the credit of our phenomenal staff. It takes money to run a service organization. That is exactly what we are, and I'm proud to say that. We are living within the restraints. I just ask for your continued support of bringing in that money so we can continue to do proper planning. If we are not successful in November, I'm not telling you we're making cuts. I'm not going to threaten you. But what it will do is we'll probably have to put some items pertaining to the strategic plan and planning for next school year will have to be put on the back burner only because we cannot make recommendations to the board for employment if we don't know what the certainty of is that $4 million are going to be coming in or not. We will never bring somebody into the job market just to give them a pink slip after levy failure. That will not happen under this current administration or this Board of Education. That is being fiscally responsible, but more important, that's being humane. And that is what our responsibility is as well. One of my biggest jobs is to make sure that we remove all the obstacles that are in the way of our teachers so they can provide the resources to our students to do the job that they do very well each and every day. A vote for yes in November makes that obstacle removed and allows us to do what we do each and every day and what we are blessed to do each and every day. I'll be able to answer some questions later on, but I'm going to turn it over to my new superintendent and counterpart, new in a superintendent, but obviously been in the district for a long time, so it's my pleasure to hand the mic over to Rob O'Leary.
Thank you, Eric. I'd ask you how you really feel, but you really get an idea of how he feels. He is very passionate and great to work with. It's been my privilege to be a part of this wonderful district and community for 14 of the 19 years that I've been an educator. I've done a lot of different things in the district as far as from teaching to coaching to being a building level principal, doing curriculum work, operational work, and most recently the director of pupil services and human resources and assistant superintendent. So I've been fortunate to have a lot of responsibilities and roles in the district, but it's helped me to get to know the people in the community in which we serve. So it's been a great privilege to do this. I'd also like to thank Will in the chamber and CLC for hosting this evening. Truly, this is what America is all about. Being able to debate, being able to share information, enter into dialogue as far as questions and answers. Thank you for your attendance, and thank you for hosting the evening. I'm going to try and be as short and concise as I possibly can because it's important that we are here tonight to talk about the facts of the district, our need for this levy, what it means to moving forward, and what it means to our students, and what it means to the community. So it's important that we're here to tell some information to you, but it's more important that we allow for some time for you guys to ask us questions this evening, as that's an important opportunity for you. Although both Eric and I would both say, and as evidence that Eric is having a weekly Wednesday night meeting, we're both very open to meeting with you, to talking with you at any time that you may have questions or concerns. So I offer that. I know I'm not speaking for Eric in that regard. We welcome the questions and the dialogue. So prior to this levy being passed in 2013, we were a district at peril. We had 2 consecutive years of massive layoffs, and as a service industry, as Eric alluded to, we are people serving people. So when you have massive layoffs, you have massive program cuts, and that's where we were. We were at state minimums in many areas in the district. Transportation, core curriculum, offerings. We had to make massive cuts as far as electives. At the high school level, we lost students. We lost great students and great families who went elsewhere at that point in time. So we were really hurting. As was mentioned, the efforts of Mr. Suker, the board, and give credit where credit's due, Mr. Nevin came in and did a great job as far as listening and bringing that information back to the administrative team and to the board, and then giving information back to the community and showing the community that we were listening. So he did a great job in doing that. And with that, the levy was passed. So I will say this, we still have not restored everything that was cut from prior to the passage of this levy. I like to call it right sizing. We're in the process of right sizing from that point, from all the cuts that we had to make. But in what we were able to bring back was community driven. There were definite concerns in regards to the safety of students with transportation. We had to cut back to state minimums. So we did have a lot of students walking to school, each of our schools for that matter, or working through transportation issues. So we were able to restore appropriate levels in transportation with the passage of this levy. We were also able to, thankfully, and much credit to Eric and his staff as well, on the finance side, as far as being able to reduce the pay to participate fees. It's kind of it goes against the mission of the school when you're charging students fees to participate in academic clubs. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we were happy to be able to eliminate those fees and then reduce the fees for the participation as far as the extracurriculars and the athletics and so forth. So we were able to do that as well. And we've also been able to bring back some other things that were loud and clear from parents and from the community in regards to some specialist classes that we've been able to add back recently, and also some additional electives that we've been able to add at the high school. So, we've been in that right sizing process for a couple years now. We spent all of last year in a strategic plan process, which was incredibly engaging. We had 150 members from the community, from all sections and all walks of life and all different experiences, coming together for the central purpose and theme of our children, our community, we are aviators. It was a very, very well done process. We had 3 phases, which we brought the entire strategic planning committee together, identified 5 critical areas for the next 5 years that the district should focus its mission and create its vision around. And then we separated into smaller groups around those 5 areas to do needs assessments and to inform the process as far as opportunities, what weaknesses or threats against those 5 areas were. And then we came back and massaged a rough draft of a plan. And before we went to print with it, we had several forums in each of our buildings last year just to show the plan to the community and to get its final blessing before we officially adopted it as a Board of Education for the administration to move forward with. So we're pleased to have that document. As all 3 board members stated tonight, the 43 strategic actions of the plan, 34 of them start this year. So we are definitely poised to begin that. We've started many of those. Obviously, there are a number of things related to technology, related to other program enhancements that we kind of have to wait and see and make sure that we have the blessing of the community and a positive vote and a successful levy campaign to be able to have the funding to move forward with that. And we are definitely optimistic that will be the will of the community to move forward with. I will also say that we have several opportunities here in the right sizing process, to expand some more offerings. They've stated that we are 3rd in the county behind Centerville and Oakwood, which are pretty darn good schools and school districts and communities. We're right behind them as far as the college attainment, the degree attainment level, and then also just, getting into college. So we're very proud of those efforts. Now, I'm very proud to say that our high school, led by the efforts of Mr. Tom Luby, who is a very esteemed principal in the district. How many of you have been to a football game and hear the student body cheering Luby, Luby? We were just talking about this today. I don't know that I've ever been to a high school in which the students of the building were actually cheering for their high school principal. So it says a lot about him and the relationships that he's forged in a very short period of time. But Mr. Luby and the staff are leading the conversation as far as, what is the end game as it pertains to our mission as a school district. And that end game is to prepare our students for life beyond a K-12 education. So, whether that's college, career, a combination of those things, the high school staff is looking at our ACT scores and not only saying, we like being 3rd, but how can we be the best? That's the conversation that we need to be having. Our middle school, our elementary schools, our staff does a great job of working within our resources and with the resources that they have to deliver the best and most high quality education that our students deserve. We have a lot of pressures, we have a lot of barriers, we have a lot of mandates from the state that we have to work around, through, maybe sometimes knock over with your help. But trying to make sense of some of those things has been a very, very change has been the constant for certain in the last 7 years, but especially in the last 3 to 4 years as far as the climate is concerned at the state level. Legislation, the accountability system, the moving targets, some mandates that just kind of don't make sense sometimes, but we still have to work within the constraints of those mandates and try to figure those things out, even when there is a cost to us. in many of those mandates, there is a cost to us. So, we're working together to figure those things out, but still maintain that local control. That was a huge spirit of the strategic planning process that we just completed. And, in the years that I've been in this district, I don't know that I've ever felt the pride that I felt when I walked through the buildings, and the events as I have. We have a lot of positive momentum. We were able to work out a great partnership with the Dayton Metro Library in transferring land so that they were able to build such a wonderful state-of-the-art library that will serve this community for many, many years. We were happy to stay on the campus of the high school and move into their old building and renovate that into a very tasteful, classy, but modest and very student-centered environment in which we hope to be, launching our district initiatives for another 60 years. We were in the former building for 60 years, so many of you were at the open house that we had last week. And just the positive feel that we've received and the positive vibe throughout the community. We had our first district-wide pep rally. Nobody in the system can think that there ever was a time where the entire school district, student bodies, teachers, support staff were in the same place at the same time. We had that early this school year at the SAC at Butler High School, and it was one of the highlights of my career. I can tell you, and I know it will be, at the end of my career, it will be one of the great highlights even then, because to see the students, to see the staff, to see the interactions, to see the younger students watching the high school students lead that spirit, it was definitely moving, and it was great to be a part of, and I think is definitely a movement of the positive direction that we are going, the great partnerships we have with the city of Vandalia, with Butler Township, and the partnerships that we promise to continue working together, whether it's on sidewalks, whether it's on other issues that where we're sharing services or we're sharing some facilities like we've done the last several years. There's just a great positive vibe, and I think that is definitely a byproduct of this great strategic plan that we have in place, and we look forward to moving forward with it.
All right, well, gentlemen, thank you very much. We would like to gather any questions that anyone has, so we'll take just a brief break. If again, you'll write down your questions on those 3x5 index cards. We'll get those collected and get right back with you here in maybe about 2 minutes. So if you can collect your thoughts and get that down, we'll ask a couple of questions. If you would like to ask them yourselves, I'd be happy to hand you the mic. We'll allow you to ask the questions, or I can read those for you. so no questions from anybody? All right. Well, both gentlemen said, please ask us some questions. They said they'd be happy to answer some of those questions that we presented to the school board members. And, and maybe just for clarification purposes, let me ask this. We're talking about issue 35, again, the renewal levy. And the decision going into this to ask for it to be a permanent levy versus a replacement renewal, take us down that process. How did that decision come about?
The process actually started as I'm reviewing our finances and putting our 5-year forecast together. And as I look and I live through the wonderful, extreme knowledge that comes out of Columbus or not, that our district is a wealthy district and, we are more wealthy than Oakwood. I can't understand that analogy. But, it's very apparent that we have a continued need for the $4 million to continue coming in each and every day, as well as back in 2004, there was the elimination and phase out of the tangible personal property that in its glory days used to bring in $5.2 million of dedicated revenue to the school district. That begun a phase out in 2004. This year we will get our final about $110,000 hold harmless payment from the state on that, and then we do not receive any additional that was tied to that. The commercial activity tax that was passed for our business members and of the district, while we appreciate their support, we understand their challenges each and every day. The tangible personal property was a dedicated, committed revenue source to the school district. The commercial activity tax, while it was reduced to the businesses, which I agree with, the problem is it became a funding source to the state to then be divvied up to various pots of money. So that money is not just dedicated to school districts like it used to be, and under the premise in which it was originally sold to our business community as well. So there is only 75% of the total collections that are given and awarded to school districts. The other 25% goes to fund other obligations of the state. So we are dealing with that as well as the reduced state funding. This year alone, in this newest biennium budget, the last biennium budget of our current governor, and I'll keep my comments to myself on that, while my board and many community members who have seen me in presentations, you know where I stand. The funding formula that he put on hold when he first came into office and now to what has been enacted as of July 1 of this year, we have now had 150 districts move from the formula now to being guaranteed, the very thing that he despises. So again, I believe there's still a flaw in the state formula that was supposed to fix the problem when he entered into our state leadership. This year we are a capped district because we have so much wealth and we're only allowed to receive so much over and above what we've received previously. So because of in its own state formula, we are not receiving $2.5 million annually. I think you know what we could do with $2.5 million. I'd be dancing on this table right here in front of you. So I would love to have that money coming in, and what I could do for each and every one of these kids, it would open up the wealth of everything that we could provide, and there would be no need for future levies or et cetera. So we definitely have our challenges. I'm definitely advocating for my associations to fix the problem as well, along with superintendent and our Board of Education.
If I could add just a little bit to that too. As Mr. Zimmerman alluded to, 25 years or so ago, the state Supreme Court determined that the funding system in the state of Ohio was unconstitutional, so they've been trying to fix it ever since. This is my opinion, but I'm going to share it with you. Even if it is, fixed or there's a solution given, it's highly unlikely that will be a boost or a benefit to Vandalia-Butler City Schools. And the reason for that is that part of the court's ruling was because the reliance of property tax was how schools are mainly funded. So there's disparities across the state depending upon the community as far as the funding levels that are available. So likely any changes to the funding formula will be more to level the field, and unlikely, I think, and again, in my opinion, to positively impact or increase the money from the state to Vandalia-Butler City Schools.
Great. I appreciate that. That was a great presentation of information. I think it was important that everybody hear that. Thank you for sharing that. We talked with both the township trustees and the school board members that, obviously the sidewalks have been a discussion within the community for some time. So I know this isn't issue 35, but if there's information maybe that you want to address with that as well, just sharing some additional thoughts.
Sure. It has been discussed for a while. I will say that John Cruzy and Erica Vogel and myself will be meeting next week actually to have some conversations to further this discussion. And as all of the candidates discuss, funding is a problem for all of us in that regard. But I think it's important for us to continue moving the discussion forward in the interest of safety for our students and improvements to the community at large. I do believe that, all three of us working together at some point we'll be able to come to a solution in which we're all providing resources to make that happen. All of us are very open and willing to move forward in trying to secure other funding sources for it. The school district is certainly, willing to look at and partner with both the township and the city in regards to us contributing to that project. Obviously, the project, as it pertains to our property, we would surely, be looking at providing the resources, the financial resources, and the help and support to get that part done on our property. But, the legal extent to which we are able to contribute beyond that, I think there is justification as far as the health and safety of our students as they're walking to and from school, in the interest of shared resources like we've done before, in certain circumstances with the city in relation to what we've done with our the tennis courts. Entered into that agreement as a means to save money really for both entities. So, if there's ways, and I believe there are, that would help us reduce some transportation levels, the amount of buses that are in the Smith attendance zone and or the Morton attendance zone. So the fact that we're able to address student safety, and the fact that we're able to hopefully potentially save some money, I think that's a vested interest of all three entities working together. So I do believe that at some point, I don't know when, if that'll be now or later, or when we're able to secure maybe some other funding sources, but it's important for us to continue having those conversations. And I don't know John and Erica both are willing to continue having those conversations, which we certainly appreciate.
All right. Well, we are up against the time wall here, so we will leave it at that. Unless, again, I'll offer it if there's a quick question from anybody. And I see no hands or anyone. So at this point, just again, issue 35, 6.99 permanent levy. It was a renewal going permanent. Consider that when you're out voting and in November. And gentlemen, thank you very much.
Will, thank you very much again. And just in closing, I'll just ask for you to please exercise your right to vote.